Icy encases Bloom in an ice prison, classic, and sends it crashing to the ground. Icy cackles, thinking that she's finally rid of Bloom, until Bloom appears behind her, mockingly laughs at Icy, and then blasts her into the lake. Which, this is such a troll move on Bloom's part, and I'm here for it. Hey there, welcome to the Winx Forever podcast. I'm Lola, creator, host, and lifelong Winx fan. I'm taking a deep dive into the very cool universe of Winx Club. So join me each week as we rewatch and discuss each episode starting with season 1 of the original series. This is the Winx Forever podcast. Hello, fairy friends. Welcome to the final season 1 rewatch episode of the Winx Forever podcast. I am your host, Lola Valentine. And can you believe that we're on to our final Winx Club season 1 rewatch episode? I've had such a blast reliving the magic of Winx through these rewatch episodes with all of you. I've had a blast with the guests on the show. I've had so much fun talking about the show again with you guys and discovering your favorite Winx Forever moments in each episode. It's just been truly magical. But it's not over yet. There is so much that happens in this episode, and I'm excited to dive in. But first, a Winx Forever friend has sent us a message, so let's listen.
Hi Lola. Well, first of all, thank you for this wonderful podcast. It made me realize how alive and well the Winx Club community still is. And second of all, as we're getting closer to the end of season 1, which is my personal favorite, I wanted to know which season's finale is your favorite and why. Thank you. Bye.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for your question, Paul. I am so happy that you are enjoying the Winx Forever podcast. Thank you so much for listening. So, what is my favorite season finale in Winx Club? That is such a hard question because we've been so entrenched in season 1 that season 1 obviously comes to mind. It's such an epic finale, but I think for me, even more epic than season 1's finale, might be season 2 for me. From, Riven finally admitting his feelings for Misa, Stella figuring out, the puzzle to get into the portal to save Bloom. And I mean, Dark Bloom. Come on. Need I say more? Not to mention, season 2 also ends with a party scene with everyone, but it includes, everyone, even the witches, even, and especially Aisha, which I love seeing her. And I've missed her so much being entrenched in season 1 for so long. But that episode is just epic for me. And I'm pretty sure that back in the day, it won a Viewer's Choice Award for the best season finale of Winx Club. So that's pretty cool as well. Thanks again, Paul, for your question. And if you would like your question answered on the Winx Forever podcast, be sure to check out the link below to my speakpipe.com or send a message via Spotify. Be sure to leave your name and where you're from and a brief message, and you might be featured in an upcoming episode of the Winx Forever podcast. But without further ado, let's get into season 1, episode 26 of the original Winx Club series. So the Italian title is Battaglia Finale, which is the final battle. The Cinelume dub title is The Witch's Downfall, and the 4Kids title is Fire and Ice. So the synopsis of this episode reads, Bloom initially seems weaker, however she succeeds in defeating Darcy, Icy, and Stormy, and imprisons them. The headmistresses of the 2 colleges agree that this battle has been the best possible tests for the fairies and witches. But not the specialists. Get those guys out of here. So let's get into this episode scene by scene. So everyone at Althea is bracing themselves for the Trix' final arrival with the Army of Darkness. Farragonda is telling everyone to be ready, and then the Trix arrive. The final battle ensues, and Farragonda and Griffin put up a magical barrier around the school. Unfortunately, the Trix proved to be too powerful as Stormy breaks it with her lightning, which is enhanced by the power of the dragon's flame she possesses. To me, the dialogue in the 4Kids dub of this episode makes it even more epic and at a faster pace. The 4Kids dub starts off with an establishing shot of Althea with a voiceover from Cortorta instructing his specialists that Farragonda is now their commander and to do as she says. Then Farragonda gives a speech on how they must muster all of their energy for this final battle and then turn all of their energy and power towards Icy, Darcy, and Stormy, as that's the only way that they will survive this battle. Which, like, damn, that is heavy. Like, Farragonda's like, we're not going to survive this if you guys don't give it your all. Like, just laying that out there. And that's pretty wild to tell a bunch of teenagers. Otherwise, in this episode, without this speech from Farragonda in the opening sequence, all of these close-ups with the fairies just look so incredibly awkward in the Cinelume dub to me. But the battle continues, and all seems lost until a mighty wall of flame manifests in front of the school. And of course, it is none other than Bloom and Sky, apparently. Seeing this, the Trix are extremely distressed and furious. Bloom takes aim at Icy, but Icy manages to dodge her attack. I loved the Bloom one-liners in both of the dubs, in the Cinelume dub and the 4Kids dub. In the Cinelume dub, Bloom says, "Mind if I cut in?" or something to that effect, which I think is very cute and funny and like lighthearted. Whereas in the 4Kids dub, she says, "Sorry it took me so long to get here, you guys." And I love them. I love them both. I can't pick a favorite. I do, however, have a special connection with these scenes in this final battle because these clips of the final battle in the 4Kids dub were used in the Winx Club Game Boy Advance game. And I remember always playing these games when I was little, and sometimes just to watch the cutscenes on my little tiny Game Boy Advance SP screen. Those were simpler times. So Icy is now in the air and warns Bloom not to mess with them because they also have the dragon's flame. But the Winx join Bloom and another battle begins in the sky. Bloom targets Icy and they battle with their powers on par with each other, while the others, Flora, Musa, Tecna, and Stella, target Darcy and Stormy. Now, in the 4Kids dub, it's interesting that Icy calls her sisters over to her once Bloom arrives and instructs them to give all of their shares of the dragon flame to Icy so that she can deal with Bloom. Then when the other Winx join Bloom in the sky, Icy says to Darcy and Stormy that they won't need the dragon flame to beat the other Winx members. But also, can we talk about this hilarious butt shot we get here of Bloom when Icy is like chasing her around in the sky? I literally laugh every time I see this scene because it's so awkward, but it's so good. Oh my god, it's so good. On ground level, the others fight against the Army of Darkness. Riven is fighting a creature when Sky joins him, and they are back to back. And Riven asks what happened to him and Bloom when Sky tells him that they parked the spider. What is it called? The spider runner? No, whatever the wind rider that Griffin gave to Sky to escape Cloud Tower. He says that they parked it in the Dark Forest and then went to Magic City, which was completely deserted. Riven sarcastically applauds the Trix for outdoing themselves, quote unquote, and Sky agrees, saying that Bloom is about had it with them, which I think is a very funny phrasing to use in this moment, but whatever. About that time, a monster is about to smash Riven and Sky when Brandon cuts its fist off and reminds them that, oh, he's there too. And the battle on the ground level continues. Something very funny about the scene actually is this is the first time in the 4Kids dub of this episode that we see Sky. He didn't make an appearance when Bloom first showed up on the scene, and I kind of like that because it reiterates how unimportant Sky is. Like, it's not called the Specialist Club. It's called the Winx Club. It's not about you. And I love it. Just keep Sky humble, please. Sky in the 4Kids dub also tells Riven that after all of this is over, he wants to take Bloom on a real date and that he's going to get her flowers and everything. To which Riven says, with powers like that, you better treat her right. You know what I mean? And I die every time at this. Like, Riv, who are you to give relationship advice? Like, who do you really think that you are right now, Riven? You practically worshipped Darcy, and look at how well that turned out for you. I mean, maybe that's why he's such a douche to Musa, because the last girl he really liked kind of imprisoned him in a dungeon of Cloud Tower. I'm not saying it's a good reason, but it could be a reason. Freaking Riven. Jeez. Also, this was a very brief moment in this episode, but can we talk about Kiko? Kiko, the bunny, the little seemingly Earth bunny, Kiko, flew in this episode. Like, he just freaking picked up Pepe off the ground and he was flying. Which answers the question from way, way, way earlier in the season in episode 2 of why Kiko could get through the magical barrier when Bloom's Earth parents couldn't. Because remember in season 1, episode 2, where he crosses through the barrier that Mike and Vanessa couldn't, and he kind of like feels of himself like, how did I get through that? You know, like so it answers the question that, like, you know, is Kiko magical? Yes, but it doesn't answer the question, why is Kiko magical? Where did this bunny come from? Apparently not from Earth. Like, what the heck? I guess we'll never truly know, but Kiko does fly again randomly in season 2, episode 1. So at least they continued with this new information about our favorite blue bunny into season 2. You know, back when they semi-cared about continuity, but I digress. So Bloom and Icy are squaring off, aiming and blasting at each other with all their might, while Stormy and Darcy face off against Techno, Musa, Flora, and Stella. Icy encases Bloom in an ice prison, classic, and sends it crashing to the ground. Icy cackles, thinking that she's finally rid of Bloom, until Bloom appears behind her, mockingly laughs at Icy, and then blasts her into the lake. Which, like, this is such a troll move on Bloom's part, and I'm here for it. And I love it. Yes, more of that, please, Bloom. Like, the little, like, peace sign that she, you know, gives to Icy, like, it's so good. It's classic. I love it. But then Icy retaliates by making the water grab Bloom and sinking her into the lake. Icy then freezes the lake, and, like, Bloom is, like, you know, in the lake just frozen, I guess. In the 4Kids dub, Icy says that she's going to rename the lake Bloom Memorial Ice Rink, and that they're going to host their annual broom hockey smash bash here. Which, like, first of all, what is broom hockey? And second, like, why do I love this? I love this type of banter in the fighting scenes in the 4Kids dub, and then, like, it's my favorite. Hey fairy friends, Lola Valentine here. In case you missed it, this year, the Winx Forever podcast launched our very own Discord community. Discord has been a great place to connect with so many wonderful Winxers from around the world to talk about our favorite fairies. I wanted to try and recreate the magic of the original Winx Club online English forums from the old WinxClub.com website. So we've got forums where you can post your own topics and respond to others' posts in every Winx topic imaginable. Click the invite link in the description below to join the Winx Forever podcast Discord community. And remember, the magic's in you. Meanwhile, at Althea, it seems that the others are getting the upper hand as the monster's strength are starting to deteriorate as the Trix's power start to falter. Farragonda looks up and observes the battle between Darcy and Stormy with the Winx, minus Bloom, of course. Meanwhile, Icy decides to completely encase Bloom in a large crystal on the lake, believing that she had finally won. Icy begins to cackle. Like, maybe, just maybe, Icy girl, stop with the cackling. Like, maybe, because it seems like every time you start to, like, laugh maniacally, Bloom comes back and beats your ass with something even stronger than the last. So, like, maybe let's hold off on celebrating until we're for sure she's, like, you know, donezo. Like, it's so funny. Also, having enough of Stella, Tecna, Musa, and Flora, Stormy decides to finish them once and for all by creating a tornado that sucks the 4 Winx into this vortex. And not gonna lie, it's looking pretty bleak for our girls. Like, Bloom is frozen, you know, in this ice crystal thing. The girls are stuck in this tornado. Flora's unconscious. Dear God. But then Stella grabs onto Flora's hand, which knocks Flora's senses back into her, kind of. And they all unite their powers onto Stella's scepter, turning the tornado against Stormy and Darcy. The 2 witches begin to fall, which catch the attention of Farragonda and Griffin, who capture them, trapping them in a large, round, heavy object and falling to the ground. In the 4Kids dub, the girls actually do a convergence spell here that Stella says is from quote-unquote gym class, which, like, can you imagine an Althea School for Fairies gym class? That's so fun to think about. After the Winx defeated 2 of the witches, the Army of Darkness at Althea ceases, and the 4 Winx fall to the ground exhausted. In the 4Kids dub, Professor Saladin says that, like, the army is losing power. It can only mean one thing, that Bloom is kicking Icy's booty, which I just need everyone listening to hear that right now.
All the monsters are disappearing. It can only mean one thing. Bloom's kicking Icy's booty.
Please, why is it so good? Why is that, like, everything I never knew I needed? Just hearing Saladin say the word booty. Like, please. 4Kids dub. So as Icy cackles and mocks Bloom, she dares Bloom to break out of her ice prison. And, like, Bloom does. Like, dude, that is what I'm talking about, you know? Like, stop with the cackling. Cackling was Icy's downfall. I'm convinced. But no, on a serious note, I think that truly Icy was just too, like, drunk with power. Like, she really was her own demise in the end. Like, every time that she bested Bloom, she would, like, gloat about it. And, like, you know, a lot, we see this kind of trope in a lot of villains and a lot of different stories, and, you know, it's the same thing every time, you know, like, good is gonna conquer evil, like, and Icy was just pure evil, and it in the end got to her, you know. So Bloom, with a final blast, defeats Icy, and Icy shouts, unable to believe that she lost. Good has won, evident by the Army of Darkness completely ceasing to exist. This final blast from Bloom in both dubs is actually, this is a fun fact, and I looked it up to make sure I was right, but this shot of Bloom with this final blast in this battle is a reused animation in both dubs from one of the arguably best episodes of Winx Club of all time, season 1, episode 9, which, if you think about it, this is kind of poetic in and of itself, since this scene was used for when Bloom defeated the witches in their downtown brawl and magics. And that's when also the Tricks discovered that Bloom's power was what they had been searching for this whole time. And then for the animators to reuse this scene here, when Bloom, eventually defeats them with the very power that she thought they had stolen from her, I kind of love that. Like, even if they didn't mean anything by reusing this specific shot, like, I love it. It's when Bloom goes Super Saiyan, and honestly, it's my favorite. The specialists help the Winx stand up to their feet, and they all wait for Bloom's return. Bloom carries an unconscious Icy and sets her on the ground, and her friends come to greet her. I love the scene of the specialists coming to help the girls to their feet, and especially in the 4Kids dub when Brandon goes, "Hey, princess," to Stella. I melt. I love that. I love it. It's cheesy as hell, but it's so cute. Also, for some reason, the 4Kids dubs, Tekna is like crazy seductive sounding. Like to Timmy, she's like, "Hey, Timmy." I'm like, oh my God, Tekna. What? Hello? Also, I'm just saying, this shot of Bloom carrying Icy is the whole reason we have an Icy Bloom ship. Like this, like fire and ice. Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. Okay, but this scene coming up, which if you've seen this episode before, you know what's about to happen. There is some controversy, as I had mentioned in the last episode, that I need you guys to weigh in on, because truly, I don't know now. Like, I am so unsure of everything now. So, Sky and Bloom walk up to each other, and there's this scene of them sharing a kiss. And this scene is pictured, right? Very like dreamlike. It's like in this dreamlike state. There's around the border of the edges of the screen, there's like this like glittery blue like pattern, around the edges. And then after the kiss scene, they hug each other and laugh. So my question to you all is, was this kiss real, or was it truly just like a daydream that Bloom and Sky both shared? Like they both really wanted to kiss each other, but like they just ended up hugging and laughing instead? Like my whole life I thought that this was like their actual first kiss, but now I'm not very sure, because everything that I've read online said that, oh, they dream of kissing each other. Oh, like they, like thought like about kissing each other, but then they just hugged each other instead. And now I'm not sure. Like, help. Like, what do you guys think? I for sure thought that this was a real kiss. Funny enough, something very interesting that I completely forgot about until our friend Tanya over at the Winx Forever podcast Discord server pointed out to me a few weeks ago that in the 4Kids dub book recapping of this final episodes of season 1, the book is titled Fire and Ice, similar to this episode title for 4Kids. But in this book, it recaps the final episodes of season 1, and Bloom and Sky actually share their first kiss at the party at the end of the episode. So I wonder if that's when it was supposed to happen originally and then like got cut, but like who knows, Thanks to Tanya for reminding me about this fun detail in the original 4Kids book of the show. If you haven't yet, join us over on the Discord community and come discuss Winx Club with us. We've got forums and every Winx topic imaginable. You'll have a blast. So come join the club. Don't miss an episode of the Winx Forever podcast. Subscribe on your favorite streaming platform so that you're notified when new episodes are released. So after the Tricks are defeated, life in Magic's city begins to return to normal, and we see people coming back to life. or just like like the cocoons like dissolving, like thank goodness, because terrifying. That's so scary. And like even like we see like a little bird like even coming back to life, like they got the animals too, like scary. With the tricks defeated, Griffin is walking with Faragonda, and they're discussing what kind of punishment the tricks should have, for their crimes against magics. And in the 4Kids dub, this scene was different because Griffin was actually talking about how, maybe she should retire after letting, her prize pupils of, her senior class of witches run rampant and just like almost destroy the whole magical dimension. Like she's like, maybe I should retire. Maybe I should just like open a bed and breakfast in my home realm. And then Faragonda encourages her that like, even though I don't agree with like what you teach, like, or how you teach it, she's like, I know that you are the best at what you do and you don't need to give up. And I think that that is so sweet. I love that. And like Faragonda in the 4Kids dub has this nickname for Griffin. She calls her Griffy. And it's just it's like old friends or old lovers. Who said that? I said that. But no, it's really sweet. And so then Saladin walks up and I think says something to the effect of like, the Magics Council has approved, for funding for a new Red Fountain school to like fully restore it. And while Faragonda congratulates him, the look on Griffin's face when Saladin like walks up is iconic and like hilarious and quite memeable, honestly. Like it's so funny. Meanwhile, Nut has decided that he wants to stay at Alfea. However, he is too nervous to ask Faragonda, but the Winx and the Specialist encourage him to do so. And then once he does, Faragonda accepts with Griffin's approval, and Nut giggles joyfully and begins to sweep the quad in preparation of a victory party. This scene in the 4Kids dub was so funny because Nut says that Flora has a potion that will really help with his OBO, quote unquote, because again, that stands for ogre body odor, which is so funny. I think that's so funny. Also in the 4Kids dub, Nut's laugh here is very similar to what we hear in the very first episode when Nut is fighting Stella in Gardenia Park. And how freaking funny is that? Like, it's a total full circle moment, and I love it. Then we see Musa and Techna flying around the school, spreading the word that there's going to be a party tonight. They pass by Myrta and Lucy, who are at the well in the quad of Alfea. And after they pass on the news, Myrta asks Lucy if she really doesn't want to stay at Alfea. And Lucy is sure of it, as she wants to continue studying witchcraft. Myrta tells Lucy that she is glad to have met a friend like Flora, and although Lucy hopes that Myrta will change her mind about transferring to Alfea, Myrta says that she won't change her mind anytime soon. The two childhood friends say goodbye for now as Lucy heads home to Cloud Tower with Griffin and the other witches. Myrta cannot help but feel sad that she will not, be in the same place as her friend Lucy. But then Flora comes to cheer her up, saying that it'll get better soon. And, Myrta says that I know it's just hard right now. In the 4Kids dub, Myrta explains to Lucy that she is transferring to Alfea next year since Musa passed by the two of them sitting at the well and said, I heard you'll be here next year. That's fat. Like fat PH, like PHAT, like as in that's cool. It's old lingo. Just keep up, okay? And then Lucy mocks Myrta when she says she's excited to learn things that they don't teach at Cloud Tower. And even though Myrta offers to still stay in touch with Lucy, Lucy walks away abruptly and calls Myrta a loser. Which, this better ending to Myrta's friendship with Lucy in the 4Kids dub honestly really makes their reunion in the next season so much sweeter, in my opinion. Can we just appreciate Flora and Myrta's relationship? Like, I love these two. I love them so incredibly much. Like, why couldn't we have had more of this relationship? Like, why does she have to be a pumpkin for so long? This is precious. They are precious, and I love them. Later at Alfea, Griffin and her students return home in order to get things back to normal. As for the tricks, Griffin says that she'll be sending them to Lake Rakaluche for punishment for their crimes, as well as a purification retreat. Which, like, at first, I thought that this was a mistake in the dubbing on Cinnaloom's part. Like, I was sure that they meant a Light Rock Monastery, but no. In the Italian, also, Griffin says Lake Rakaluche, which is not at all where they send them to. In the 4Kids dub, Griffin calls it the Do-Gooders Boot Camp. And then, of course, in season 2, it is called Light Rock Monastery in the Cinnaloom dub, and then Light Haven in the 4Kids dub. So who the heck knows what this place is actually supposed to be called, but whatever. So everyone, especially the Winx, say farewell to them, elated that they have finally defeated the tricks. And you can kind of just see Icy's hatred for the Winx, and Bloom in particular, just sink in even deeper as she enters the portal. And then little Pepe follows her, leaving Kiko to be sad that he had lost a new friend. But then Bloom cheers him up and is very cute. In the 4Kids dub, Icy over her shoulder looks to Bloom and is like, I'm not done with you. And it's so menacing. It's so like, ooh, like, oh my, okay. You know, and I love it. It's perfection. You know, Lisa Ortiz, like, please, yes, mother, queen, we love you. my only Icy ever. But then night comes, and before the party begins, Farragonda makes an announcement that she will be changing the concept of the modern fairy, calling it Winx. Alfea fairies cheer, and the party officially begins. I hate the Cinnaloom dub version of the scene. Like, Farragonda can't just declare modern fairies quote-unquote Winx. Like, I'm sure she would have to get that approved from, like, a Magic's Council or something to do so, right? Like, she just doesn't have the authority to just rename modern fairies. I hate this. Anyway, it's really dumb, and I hated that part so much. Like, I can't stress to you how much I disliked that scene in the Cinnaloom dub. But mostly because the 4Kids dub version of the scene was so much better to me. Farragonda shares that they are going to skip final exams this year because everyone was passing with flying colors because they survived. Essentially is what she's saying. And then she announces that it's time to party. Which makes me so happy hearing little old Farragonda say party. Like,
this has been a unique year, capped by a day of extraordinary courage. You certainly behaved like true Alfea girls. You did well. In fact, you did so well, I feel it's unnecessary to have final exams this year. You're all passing with honors. All right, now that is settled, let's get ready. It is time to party! Yay!
It's up there with Saladin saying booty for me, like, for sure. Food, music, and dancing with good and positive atmosphere is amidst the night with the fairies and specialists. Another very special announcement is made and toasted to the start of Brandon and Stella's romantic relationship, regardless of social status. And then Flora hints at another announcement regarding Tekna and Timmy's relationship, although all they can do is, like, smile at each other, which is kind of awkward. And then the Undines give a final light show before returning to their home in Black Mud Swamp. As the party dies down, Bloom is found alone at the well, looking up at the full moon, kind of lost in thought until Sky joins her. He asks if she's all right, and Bloom asks if she should be happy, but really cannot be, as she continues to think about her adoptive parents versus her biological parents and her history and many more questions. Same old thing. Why are we talking about this right now, Bloom? Like, really? Like, is this the moment? Is this the time to talk about this? Anyway, though these questions are difficult, Sky reassures her that she's not alone, and they join hands at the fingertips, and Bloom finally smiles and looks up one more time at the bright full moon. Peace has been restored to the magical dimension. The end. Just kidding, not the end, because now we've got to talk about the 4Kids version of the party scene because it was so incredibly different from the Cinelume dub. Like, what I grew up with watching at the 4Kids dub of this episode, so different. So different. So, for starters, the episode doesn't end with Sky and Bloom enjoying the peaceful night after the party. Like, this scene of Sky and Bloom at the well comes after the party had just started. Bloom also isn't worried about these quote unquote difficult questions about her past and parents. She's actually sad that the school year is coming to an end and that she's going to miss everyone, especially Sky. And that's when Sky says that they still have time to dance, and it's so cute and flirty, and even though I don't like Sky at all, this was a very cute moment. Then the scene cuts to the whole group at the table at the party having just such a fun time. Then we see Bloom give a toast, and her toast isn't to Brandon and Stella's new relationship, which I think is so weird, such a weird thing to toast to. Cinelume dub, what the heck? What is that? Instead, Bloom suggests a toast to friends and friendship. And Sky adds to new friends and old friends. And then Brandon says, and to princesses, as he is looking at Stella. And then Stella adds, let's toast to non-royalty people too. We cannot forget about them because, they can be pretty cute, which is so cute. And then everyone laughs, it's a big joke. Aww. And then Tekna says, and to Bloom, which we hear Musa join in by saying a special shout out to Bloom. And then Stella finally adds, when she got here, she didn't even have wings. And today she saved the whole realm of magics. And then everybody cheers to Bloom. And then finally, Flora tells everyone that they'll be sophomores next year and that she's heard it been said that sophomore year is even more exciting and more thrilling than the first year. And then everyone joins in and cheers to next year by raising their glasses. And then the 4Kids song Feels Like Magic begins to play as the nymphs fly overhead, and then the camera pans out to show the party and then fades to black. To me, this is the perfect ending to the season. In the 4Kids dub, with all the friends together, cheersing to next year. And I love it. You're listening to the Winx Forever podcast. Hey friends, Lola Valentine here. I know that Winx Club can be kind of a hard show to get your hands on, and especially since it is nearing its 20th anniversary. So there are some fans that are trying to rectify this with the website WinxClub.to, and there you can stream the highest quality streams on the internet of Winx Club. We're talking upscaled quality versions of seasons 5 through 8, seasons 1 through 4 being upscaled to 4K, including, wait for it, the 4Kids dub, which I don't know about you, but I am stoked to finally have a high def version of the 4Kids dub. Finally, my dream has come true. There's also the movies and a ton of Winx Club albums. So what are you waiting for? Head over to WinxClub.to to start watching. Wow, I can't believe it! We made it to the end of this final rewatch episode for season 1. Let's go over some highlights from this episode and its major events. So clearly, Bloom and Sky arrive at Althea for the final battle as Bloom squares off against Icy. Stella, Musa, Flora, and Tekna, yeah, I got them all, face off against Darcy and Stormy. And then they all successfully defeat the Tricks. Bloom and Sky imagine themselves having their first kiss, but only hug. So like that's in this note. So I guess, I don't know, guys, you're going to have to help me out with that one. Magic's city is revived. Nut is now a part of the Althea staff in charge of janitorial duties and other like miscellaneous duties, I guess. We learn that Myrta is going to be a transfer student at Althea in the next year. Icy, Darcy, and Stormy are sent to Light Rock as a punishment for their crimes. And little baby Pepe follows Icy, never to be seen again until a very random moment in season 2. So that's very sad. Also making their last appearance was the Undines, who make a short appearance during the party scene. And Stella and Brandon start officially dating, quote unquote. And then Flora hints at Techna and Timmy's budding relationship. Bloom and Sky's romantic feelings deepen for one another. And even if we are unsure that it really happened, this episode does mark the first ever on-scene kiss of Winx Club. So there you have it. Those are the major events and highlights of this episode. But it is now time for what we've all been waiting for. What is the Winx Forever moment of season 1, episode 26? The most quintessential Winx moment of this season finale. And like, y'all know it's hard to pick just one. Like, you know, like the obvious one would be Bloom defeating Icy, right? That would be probably the obvious choice. But if it's not that one for me, then it's going to be the ending of the episode and the 4Kids dub. I'm sorry. You knew it was coming. You know I am a 4Kids dub stan. That is what I grew up with. So I have to stay true to who I am, stay true to what I love. And I love the lightheartedness of this ending. I love the way that they all got to make a final toast at the party. It's all so fun. And when I think about my Winx Forever moment of this episode, I think of the song Feels Like Magic closing the season finale, as the song was also used to close the very first episode of the 4Kids dub of Winx Club. And it's so nostalgic for me. It's my Winx Forever moment. Like I can't deny it. But I want to hear what your Winx Forever moment is from this episode. So let me know in the comments below in this episode if you're watching along on YouTube or even if you're listening on Spotify. You can also share your Winx Forever moment over in the podcast discussion thread on the Winx Forever podcast Discord community. So join us over there. The link to join is in the description below. Friends, can you believe this is our last rewatch episode? I keep saying it, but like I keep saying it because I can't believe it. Like I'm having to like remind myself that it's real, that this is it. Oh my goodness. I have had so much fun with these episodes, and I really hope that you've enjoyed them as well. And while this is indeed the end of our Winx Club Season 1 rewatch episodes, we've still got one last episode in this season of the Winx Forever podcast as we celebrate the 50th episode of the podcast. It will be very special, and you won't want to miss it. So until then, I am Lola Valentine, and this is the Winx Forever podcast. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode of the Winx Forever podcast, be sure to subscribe on your preferred streaming platform so that you're notified when new episodes are released. Join in on the conversation when you join the Winx Forever podcast Discord community. Link to join in the description below. The theme song for the Winx Forever podcast is the song She Makes Magic by Big Wild.